Hey everyone, this is your girl SolieSims and we're doing a different type of video today. This is a tutorial video and I actually started doing these type of videos, well, not these types, I only did one before, for landscaping, and I just thought maybe we can probably try some more because I just find that there are a lot of people out there who do such amazing casts, and then they say their strong suit is not with build. I am not the very best at building myself. I still struggle with roofs. I still struggle with landscaping. Landscaping is something that I really hate. But then when I do it, it all comes together at the end. Cluttering is something else that I really absolutely hate to do, but I do try. But most times, if you've watched any of my videos, you would see that it is mostly like I kind of live the houses kind of bare bones, not too much so, but just enough. And I always say I leave it up to the Sims to clutter up their homes. So yeah, so basically what I'm going to do in today's video is just like a little backyard area where you may have that little extra space that you're not really sure as to what you should do with it. And so I thought to introduce some multiple colors for one, in the backyard, and also just instead of using regular fences, because we always I think we tend to do, most people tend to do a lot of there's the in-game fences whilst they build, instead of using the wall itself. So I have enabled the BB move objects cheat, and I didn't take out any of the errors that I made whilst I was doing it, because as with everybody who is creating, there is the decision process where you think you want to do this, but you're not quite sure that you want to do that. And when you try something out, you realize that it just doesn't fit, it doesn't work, so you're unhappy about it. There are some things that I didn't put in to the video, and that's just windows that I placed and a roof that I placed after, but these were just done for me to be able to take the screenshots, just for you all to see the finished product. So I was trying to make like a step up using the shelves without actually having to use a step. But of course, because I have a foundation on the building, when I was placing the shelves, it actually raised up as well, and it just wasn't giving me the look that I wanted. So of course I took it off, and I actually eventually just put the plant straight down, and I raised the foundation enough to put steps on, because I really wanted to use that instead. As you can see, there are Sims on the lot, and that is simply because these people came to visit just as they came to visit the welcome committee just as I was building. And I just figured I would just leave it as is. So I like to think of this as the back area, like I said, but of course you can always utilize that for the front space as well, and you can section it off, you can play around with it, you can do whatever it is you want. I did not upload this, like I said, it's just a little tutorial, just to give somebody an idea of what it is they can do with backyard space. Have I ever really done a plain backyard like this? Maybe not, but I just feel that in this case it's suited. Now I tried to place the stairs here, and then I realized that it wasn't allowing me, but that was because this wasn't a full room. So I closed off that space, and then I was able to place the stairs the way I wanted it to be done. I think if it was like on an upper floor, maybe I don't think that would have been a problem for me to place it on the side, but for me to place it there, for some reason it just wouldn't allow me, unless it was a closed room. Now we're keeping the backyard as simple as possible. I did this, and as always, I kind of have an idea of the family that I envision living in the house when I do it. even if I do have a tester sim, she's never really, or he or whoever it is, the sim is never really the person that I actually build the house for. Usually it's just to have, somebody that to play test it. So I used the regular wall, and then I used the shelves that I initially wanted to use as the step up, and I just sized it down once, and I placed it against the wall. And I think I'm using the medium height in wall. And I took some plants, and for those of you who don't know, you can press the bracket button. I think the right one is to make the stuff bigger, and the left bracket is to make it smaller. And those brackets are found just above the quotation marks or the enter key. It falls just above there. And of course, the number 9 key on the keypad will bring up, will raise whatever it is you want to go up, and the 0 will bring it down. Of course, this doesn't work with every single thing, and I use shift to do repeated patterns or repeated plants. For example, there are some plants or some rugs or some whatever it is that only comes one, like plants. Oh my god, plants, for example, that drives me crazy, that you can only choose one plant at a time, and others it would give you multiple. So I normally keep shift pressed down, so that will give me multiple of it. And then with the alt key, it will place it directly where I want it to go. Of course, that is only enabled. I think alt only really works if you have the BB move objects on cheat enabled. I like to use the deep forest terrain paint, because it just makes the place look so lush and like it's well cared for. It's been heavily watered, and it looks inviting. So I use it, and I use a lot of this particular terrain paint, the bit of I don't know what it's called that exactly, if it has what the particular name is, but it has just the bit of green and the bit of green and the dirt in it. Now, as you can see, guys, when I try to put the stone, I use regular size stones, and I just, like I said, I use the shift button, the alt, and the bracket, the left bracket, to make it a little bit smaller, to the smaller size, just for me to make the shape of what it is that I want. I did not put in any of the debug cheats. I just didn't feel like doing that. I tried to keep it as a no CC kind of whatever packs that I have, which I'm up to date with them, thankfully. Type of build, and I just kind of I just used this. So because I have the foundation up, you would have noticed that the stones, as well as like you saw for the shelves and the some of the plants will raise to the level of the foundation, which I think is totally ridiculous. I don't understand why that happens in the game, and I think that's something that should be fixed definitely. Also, I used the T button on my keypad, my keyboard, to tilt for this aerial view, and it just makes it a little bit easier instead of having to go into the camera and do it. As you can see here, I think I did try. I was hoping that it would have set down, but it didn't. So I had to take it out and cover it up with something else. Now, if you really wanted to place the stones directly against the foundation, you would have had to lower the foundation all the way down to the ground, like to lower the walls all the way down to ground level, and then place whatever plants, etc. that you have, and then raise the foundation again. And in a moment you will see that's what I did for me to try and cover up that space there. I did end up changing the color of the soil because I wanted it to be a little bit darker for it to look like these are things that have been planted there. This is practically a faux garden. We can pretend because it's regular size, and these are from Island Living. These plants, these are regular size plants, and we can pretend that they are some kind of fruit bearing plant, or even just that a flower garden. And this is just there to protect. The stones are placed around just to protect it. And then we have the bigger plants there. Now normally, guys, I would place a bit of shading underneath the plants, but I didn't do it this time. I didn't even realize that I didn't do it until I was done with the build and I was taking the screenshots. But I was also looking at the time because I didn't want this video to be exceedingly long. So I tried to make it a short one that was easy enough to follow and something that people wouldn't get bored with. As you saw, I just added some grass just to fill up the space as well. I placed it directly underneath the plants, and if you looked at any of my other videos, you'd see that is something else that I normally do. I do it quite often actually. With trees especially, I hate to see the tree just stare directly into the ground. I mean, most times you have a tree in the ground, there are little bits of grass, there are little bits of shrubs growing around it, so I tend to do that a lot. And I just use the round rug here to just place as a almost like stepping stones, and I love that particular rug for that for that use. It just suits it. I continued using the same pattern that I did of stone, just as a little courtyard area, I guess you could say, for me to be able to place the barbecue grill, etc. So it doesn't look like it's directly on the ground. It looks a little bit more ordered as well. Not everything in your backyard or in the home, actually, when you're building, necessarily has to be functional. For example, the table that I'm going to put here doesn't work with stools. In fact, none of the tables work with stools. The stools are mostly for the counter, right? Anyway, I did not want to put outdoor seating for food around the table, so I used the stools. I really like the stools. I just felt that I didn't want it to be same height as the table, so although it was already not functional, I did size it down so it just to look a little bit more realistic, and it looks like it can just just fit under there. And I use a plant, just fit it in the middle here, and that was that. Yeah, and this is the little sitting area, this is the little side way, so you can just do whatever in the back. But just so you have an idea, I did in the end put a center table, like an outdoor table, just to complete the space. It was just a little bit more open than I would have liked. So yeah, so the table went there. And I sized it down because, of course, center tables are always so large in the game, and I just can't understand why. So I sized it down just for it to fit in a little bit better. And then I used one of the plants that goes directly on the ground. I made it smaller using the left bracket, and then I used 9 to bring it up so it would center in the middle of the table. We're approaching the screenshots right now. And just so you can see what it is in the end, I did put in some windows, and you will see that. So let me know what you think of the video. If you like it, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe if you have not as yet. I'll see you again, guys, in my next video. Bye.